Nico Horning here with CBS Sports play-by-play announcer Andrew Catalon here. I'm in San Francisco at Radio Row, and I know you're gearing up for a week out in Arizona at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Andrew, great to be with you.
Nico, always great to see you. Thanks so much.
Of course, we can start on a boatload of things from the football season to golf coming up. I know you're kind of getting plugged in there, but let's start with a little bit with the NFL. Maybe you know a little bit of a quick recap from your point of view on the season overall, maybe the twists and turns of what was such a crazy NFL season, just with the storylines to teams emerging later on with the Jaguars. What was your overall take on this 2025-26 season?
Yeah, I think parity was really the big storyline for me. I mean, just each week you kind of had a sense of what is going to happen because I have no idea what's about to happen. You saw a lot of upsets. You didn't really see a team jump out so far ahead of the pack. There wasn't a dominant team. Yes, the Broncos had a great year. And yes, the Seahawks, another deserving one seed. But I just got the sense as the regular season went on that really it was whatever team got hot come playoff time. That was going to be the team that was going to go on. And I think that's what we've seen here. I mean, yes, Seattle was the one seed, but they're playing great football here in the last second half of the season into the playoffs. And New England really caught its stride as the year went on. So many questions about their strength of schedule, but I feel like they answered a lot of them, especially come playoff time. So I think it was a unique season because there wasn't a dominant team, but it was still great drama every week.
And what immediately jumps out at you when you talk about this Super Bowl matchup coming up? Seahawks, Patriots, you alluded to a little bit with the strength of schedule from time to time, but obviously both have their strengths and weaknesses. What jumps out to you right off the bat?
I think it's the head coach matchup. I'm fascinated by it. I thought Mike Vrabel, as we all know, did a tremendous job with New England in his first year there. Really turned that thing around so quickly. It was incredibly impressive what Vrabel was able to accomplish in year one. And Mike McDonald is a brilliant defensive mind who I think learned a lot from his first season a year ago and made some changes along the way. We met with him. He thought he was, last year he gave us the example. They would have a really big game and he would say, guys, this is it. Like, it's a huge game. We need this game to move forward. And he realized that was the wrong way to go about it because what about the next week? It's just as important. So I love that the fact that he was honest and vulnerable about what happened in his first year, was able to correct some of those things for year two and look at them now.
Did you have a chance? I don't know if you called any Baltimore games when he was with Baltimore as the defensive coordinator. Maybe, how did those conversations differ when he was with them to where he is now with Seattle?
Yeah, I did. I saw him in Baltimore.
Okay.
Very smart. That's the first word that comes to mind. And I know that's not very descriptive, but I would just tell you that the way that he approached our meetings, how I would imagine him approaching a defensive meeting, is very calculated. He's very articulate. And there's no detail that would get by him. He's just very buttoned up. And I think that it's hard to go from a defensive coordinator where you can just control one unit and then go to be a head coach where everything falls under your umbrella. And that's why I said I think that adjustment from year one to year two was a big reason why Seattle is where they are right now.
With your role on trying to, I guess, pick the brain of some of these coaches, what's your process in going about that? Whether it is talking to a coordinator or a head coach, what are you trying to get from them that maybe some of the other fans or whoever's watching might not know?
Yeah, but we're fortunate enough where every week we get to chat with the head coach, the quarterback, and a couple of players or a coordinator. And the things that we look for in our production meetings before a game are things that aren't out there yet. I mean, there's so much information that you get during the week, whether it's on TV, on social media, reading a newspaper, that by the time you get to Sunday, you want to have something fresh. You want to have a different approach, something you could maybe add on to something you read during the week. But I always like to prioritize that information and try to get whatever I can that's new. Because then if you're a viewer at home, especially if you're a Seahawk fan, you've heard everything all week. You want to hear something new. That's kind of the goal of those meetings.
So quarterbacks, the other topic of conversation, of course, with Drake May going at it for the first time. Sam Darnold, previously a backup in the Super Bowl, now getting his chance as a starter. What do you make of this quarterback comparison heading into this game?
Funny, I had the Patriots week two, and
Okay.
that was after they had lost the opener at home to Las Vegas. And the topic in Boston that whole week was, is there too much on the plate of Drake May? Do they have to dial back what Josh McDaniels is giving him? And the overreaction to that was incredible. And now you look at where he's gone and what they've done. So I give a lot of credit to the May McDaniels relationship, how they have kind of grown together and figured each other out. And then Sam Darnold, obviously Clint Kubiak deserving of becoming the Raiders' next coach, and he's done a wonderful job with Seattle. I think you got to give a little hat tip to Minnesota a year ago, where Sam Darnold was, and everything he learned under Kevin O'Connell, who's also a brilliant offensive mind, and just that kind of started the transformation for Darnold, and then he really picked it up here in Seattle. So I think it's a great quarterback matchup, and I can't wait to watch.
And you talk about turnarounds. I mean, both these teams not even making the playoffs a year ago, and whether it is the NFL and even college with Indiana out of nowhere. I mean, it seems like everyone's just coming out and emerging to the best of their ability. I don't know what maybe the last time you've seen something as shocking as this, with both teams not exactly making it the year before or not being as relevant, and then all of a sudden going back to where they were this year. And then same with the college level with Indiana, what they were able to do just from a football perspective and for the love of the game. What are your thoughts on that?
I know it's a cliche, but I think the word culture comes into play here with those examples: New England, Seattle, Indiana football. I just feel like the coaches have really set the tone and kind of changed the way that those locker rooms are built. And they've kind of gotten their guys in there. Their message bounces off the walls. It's just an interesting way to rebuild these days. I don't think it was done like that in the past. It's a little different now with the way that the messaging is. And I think maybe that contributes to some of it. But there's no doubt the three stories you mentioned are three remarkable turnarounds. And that's why it's so much fun to watch every weekend.
NIL's definitely changed some of that as well in this day and age. Anyway, Nico Horning here with Andrew Catalon here before Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco, kind of reminiscing on some of this NFL season. Week 15, Phillip Rivers comes back and out of retirement after a few years off of football and does his thing on the field. You were on the call for that game. How do you analyze what happened? What's your role? You have plenty of fans who knew about Phillip and have watched him play for years, and then for all of a sudden to this just come out of nowhere. What was that process and week like for you gearing up for that game?
Yeah, it was fascinating, not knowing what to expect. And we did meet with him the night before at his hotel. And I remember him walking into that meeting and just being like, wow, I never thought I'd do one of these things again. And then in talking to him, there were so many questions. Why is he doing this? His Hall of Fame clock resets. What if he gets hurt? He hasn't been playing. We asked him those questions, and his perspective was so refreshing. He said, you know what? If I go out there and stink, if I go out there and get hurt on the first play, if we lose by 4 touchdowns, none of that matters to me. He said, I have an opportunity to do something that not many people get a chance to ever do. And why not just go for it and just have fun with it? And that was his approach. And I thought that was so great after so many people had questioned him all week long. He didn't care if he fell on his face and got laughed at. He would go home to his beautiful family, coach high school football, still had this incredible career. So many of us these days think about, well, what happens if it goes bad? That wasn't his mindset, and I found that so refreshing. And I thought he played that way in the time that we saw him out there in December. He kind of had that attitude of, you know what, I'm going to just go out there and have fun. And I know they didn't win, but he played okay, better than okay, and I give him a ton of credit.
And I know you've prepared over the years for backup quarterbacks or someone just gets signed and you got to maybe find some notes on them last minute. But was this one of the more strange, I guess, weeks of preparation that you've had just as a football announcer because of how out of the ordinary it was?
100%. Yeah, no doubt. It was, I was looking back at notes that I had from a couple of years ago and wondering, how this goes with his, not playing, and his high school team was such a great story, and his son is a top recruit, and it was totally different than any other, the notes I have on Drake May, two different stages of life. But we knew it was a big story. We knew there'd be a lot of people tuning in, and we didn't want to over talk either, as right. You want to let the moment kind of be there. And I thought we did a good job of that.
That's awesome. Well, how cool for Rivers to return week 15. Wrapping up here, I know it's busy time of year for you with football winding down, of course, and then you're right back at it with some college hoops, getting back in the swing of things for golf. What are you most excited for here in the next couple of months as spring comes around?
Yeah, I am excited. Football is a joy, and I love doing it. But now, the season has turned for me, and now it's on to college basketball. And March is right around the corner, so I look forward to that. But also, golf is something I really enjoy as well. So, as you mentioned, I'll be out in Phoenix for a couple days this weekend, and then before we know it, the Masters will be here. So it's a fun time of year.
That's awesome. And one last thing, I know Johnson Wagner is going to be coming over to CBS. Everyone loves his little late night uh, reiterations of golf swings, if you will. But what's something just personality wise that you like from him that you're looking forward to working with?
Yeah, he's awesome. We've had a chance the last couple of years at events to go out dinner and catch up. And he's such a great guy. What you see on camera is what is the real person he is. And you already saw it in Torrey Pines. He recreated a shot in the middle of the tournament from the cart path. So
That's awesome.
I love that, and he's going to be a big part of our team.
Andrew, thanks for everything. Go Orange, and we'll definitely talk to you soon. Thanks for catching up here on Radio Row and this week before the Super Bowl comes up.
Thanks, Nico.